Greetings everyone, I am Dr. Wolf and I just saw Sweet and Smoky. Now, it's been quite a while since we've had a dragon-centered episode. I mean, goodness, has it really been since maybe season 5 in total? It's probably Gauntlet of Fire that is the most dragon-centered episode in the entire series, but this is a close second. And what's more, it's one that focuses not only on Spike, but also Smolder, Garble, and Fluttershy. That kind of threw me a bit for a loop. I thought Fluttershy was terrified of dragons, but I guess it's more the giant adult dragons, the kinds that can eat you in one bite. At least that's the way she put it back in Dragonshy. However, I do like the fact that this is kind of a nod to the very first episode in the entire series that Fluttershy was able to speak up and get all excited because she sees baby dragon, or at least who she thinks is a baby dragon, that's Spike back then. And yeah, it was cute then, and she's laying on the baby talk quite thick in this episode. So I definitely had fun with that. So having Fluttershy and Spike in an episode together, that's something that we definitely haven't seen before. Unfortunately, it's only in a couple of parts where they're interacting. It's not really about them, it's much more about Garble and Smolder. And yeah, I can see some potential with that. I had guessed a long while back when I was first reading the synopsis to this episode that Garble would maybe be Smolder's brother, and yeah, it turned out to be correct. And I was wondering back then, if he's supposed to be sensitive, why haven't we seen any of that before now? And it turns out, well, he's just trying to be a bully because he doesn't want to be bullied himself. We've certainly seen a lot of stories like that in media before. This is far from anything new on the subject. And I don't think it's really a new way of tackling the idea either. It's basically, we've seen Garble since season 2, where his idea of having fun is smashing phoenix eggs. And even in Gauntlet of Fire, he is definitely all about what he wants. He has no intention of working with anyone else, even when others are saving him from giant rocks. So now that we see that he's a beatnik poet, that he's only willing to show that to his sister, and I don't know what to think about that. I admit when I first saw it, I was like, okay, this is a thing, but I don't know if there was much more they could do with it other than just banging on the bongos and coming up with some out there lyrics. It's like something out of a 50s style coffee house. And yeah, seeing Fluttershy take on that role for a few seconds was kind of fun. It would have been even more fun if she suddenly turned up with that same kind of shirt and hat, because I can guarantee somebody's going to be drawing fan art of that. At any rate though, what about the story as a whole? Seeing that Spike is attempting to be the bigger dragon, I will be the bigger dragon, I will be the bigger dragon, and attempting to make amends with this same dragon who not only bullied him, but was very threatening in earlier episodes too. I don't know exactly whether this is the kind of story that merits a rewatch. It certainly had its funny moments, it certainly had a couple of interesting ideas, but I don't know if they did anything new with it that I haven't seen many times before in movies and television and comics and who knows what else. Having the dragon eggs be a part of the story, that's kind of interesting. Having Fluttershy being overly adorable, using her baby talk and reading stories and going coochie coochie coo. And even seeing that Ember is attempting to replicate that same thing because she doesn't have any ideas. It's a fair way to have a story go. And it's a fair way of connecting the disparate elements of Garble doesn't want to show who he really is, and the dragon eggs aren't hatching because apparently the lava pools keep being redirected. And yeah, they did establish early on that dragon fire tends to get hotter when they laugh. Thought that was a little weird that it was basically introduced in this episode as a way to solve the plot. And getting Garble out of the blue, thinking, oh, I have to get everybody to laugh. Well, I'm suddenly feeling completely okay showing my beatnik poet persona. It's really schmaltzy towards the end. I mean, not only are we getting Garble to show his other self with basically little motivation other than, oh, well, I guess this is an idea that might work, considering he's been hiding it for many years, but making it much worse is that Ember decides, well, he's the hero of Dragonlands here, and you will respect his differences, and all of a sudden, everyone decides, oh, I want to learn how to be a beatnik poet. And I thought the ending to She's All Yak was schmaltzy. Oh, goodness. It's not the best way to end a story, at least not in a very believable way. I respect the idea they were attempting to teach a lesson with. I just wish they had thrown us a curveball along the way, because you can see pretty much every story element coming from a mile away. I really appreciate episodes that can throw me for a loop, but unfortunately this is just not one of them. I could see that, well, it's very likely that Garble is going to end up being Smolder's brother. I think it's very likely that Spike is just going to have to be very persistent and patient and showing his support the way he does. And yeah, I guess it was nice to see Fluttershy being angry, doing everything short of giving the stare and showing her scary side. That was kind of fun, but I don't know. The more I think about it, the more I wish this story could have focused a little bit more on why Garble is the way he is, other than just introducing the fact that, well, he has this sensitive poetry side and he's just always been afraid to show it, and he's just been a bully because he doesn't want to be bullied himself. I can remember a long while ago, this was at least 4 years ago, that I released a video about an episode idea between Fluttershy and Garble, where basically through a much more slow method, that because, say, Garble is injured and Fluttershy is the one who would be the most kind and compassionate, and yet most of Ponykind would be terrified of having a dragon around in Ponyville because this was before Gauntlet of Fire was a thing and Ember was introduced to the show. And I like the idea because it was much more gradual. That Garble wasn't putting his bullying side of himself away completely. That it was much more of a baby step in getting him to realize, well, I guess maybe kindness can have its uses. I suppose I can think a little bit differently about it, but this is very much a 180. Because you look back at Season 2 Dragon Quest, and yeah, he was willing to break a phoenix egg only because he was bored. And now, in order to hatch dragon eggs, he is completely willing to show his sensitive poet side and get others to laugh at him for it. I wish there could have been much more of a middle step to show that transition. And so, yeah, this seems a little too quick for that. But with that said, I still had fun. Like I mentioned before, Fluttershy is both adorable and scary and just plain funny with her interactions. Spike is kind of fun because he's being much more patient than a lot of us really could be in that circumstance. I will be the bigger dragon, I will be the bigger dragon, I will be the bigger dragon. I like the idea that Smolder's brother happens to be a character we've known for many seasons. And yeah, that's kind of a nice twist, but yeah, I could see that coming a long ways off too. Overall, it's kind of middle of the road episode. Enjoyable for a first viewing, but I don't know if there's a reason why I'd go back to it. I guess I can look forward to seeing artwork of not only Garble Beatnik Poet, but also Fluttershy Beatnik Poet. Because that'd definitely be fun to see. But honestly, I like the fact that I get to see a Fluttershy-centered episode, where she's paired up with Spike for the first time in the series. And yeah, as a bit of a side note, I can appreciate that for my birthday today, I get to have a Fluttershy-centered episode, even though she's kind of a secondary character here. So yes, thank you MLP staff for those fun little moments. I don't know if I like this story as much because, yeah, it's definitely something we've seen so many times before, and that schmaltzy ending that's even more so than, say, She's All Yak, it kind of leaves a bit of a bad taste, but it's enjoyable. Not something I'd probably go back to, but definitely enjoyable. But then, what did all of you think? Given how much we've seen of Garble in the series leading up to this point, is this a believable transition for what little character we've had? Do you like the idea that Smolder and Garble are related? And does it make sense that Fluttershy would be so eager to enter the Dragonlands given that she's been so terrified of them before? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, because as always, I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.